So yesterday we watched The New World, and it's is it a documentary? It's not a documentary.
No, it's just a story.
About Pocahontas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how all that came into play.
Well, tell me how you think about that movie, because like I know you have a lineage to Pocahontas, so you're related to Pocahontas in real life.
In real life.
In real life, okay.
Yeah.
What you think about how they like depicted the movie, and from what you research and what you know about it?
I thought it was gonna be a good movie because I was interested in seeing it, because the only Pocahontas movie that I've seen in my childhood is the Disney one.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I Googled like what's the best genealogy movies, to watch, and that was one. And I was like, okay, let's see what this is about, since they want to tell the story. Since I done did my genealogy and I know some things too, it's like, what's the story on this movie? And it was 2005. Is that what it said?
Yeah, 2005.
Right. So first of all, John Smith had brown hair. He was tall, dark, and handsome in the movie. But he was blonde with blue eyes in the cartoon, the Disney movie. He was blonde hair, blue eyed, straight European, white collar type of guy. But in this movie, it was like, he was a prisoner. Yeah, and he looked really mixed. Like, he looked like related to you. Like, he was dark hair, dark eyebrows, dark eyes, dark facial hair, very dirty looking, rustic looking, maybe mixed with white guy. And he was a prisoner on the ship, on the
this movie.
Yeah. And it was King James ship. King James, who King James is, right? The nigga that writes the Bible, that wrote the Bible. Yeah. The King James version. Yeah, Great Britain now. Where the Vatican is. Yeah. The people that own the United States. Anyway. Yeah, so they came over here, which is Jamestown, the first town that they came over here and established in Virginia. King James, Jamestown, just helping y'all understand, how all this came. And Pocahontas and them people, they discovered them. That was cool. I like the poetry aspect of the movie, right? I do. It was very, I don't know. It was, very poetic.
Yeah, like the artistic part of it was nice to add that in, but the music was
horrible.
It was
there was
ridiculous.
No drums except for when the white people came off the boat. Like the soldiers and stuff, they had drums, but the natives had no drums. They had like this orchestric type of music with like the violins and the orchestra or whatever. But I hated the music. Every time I heard it, I'm just like, why did y'all choose this?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
But it was
I don't know who chose that.
Right.
But they should have chose different. So it's somebody that's the director of the music that decided to do that, and it was approved somehow.
Right.
I don't know what they were thinking, but
right.
Hey.
And I just didn't like how they depicted the women and I didn't like how they depicted the relationship between the people that came here and the people that were already here. I'm trying not to use so many descriptive words, but it's kind of hard with all the conditioning.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to have respect for each party because,
yeah,
they in my blood too. So it's like, it's just, I don't like how they depicted the relationship between each other. And I'm big on that, the message.
Yes.
How the message was received and how it was sent. Like, how did we get to this part in the book, which is all about messages. But yeah, so it's like, they didn't really show where things went wrong, but I know that Pocahontas' dad got really upset with her because she gave them some seeds. She gave John Smith and them seeds to plant because their stuff wasn't growing.
Oh yeah.
And that's really ironic. Well, there's no such thing, but it's really funny that her dad was really disappointed. He disowned her, and she had a soft spot for John Smith. This is what they say.
Yeah.
And so her dad had 100 kids, and she was his favorite. Like, he literally birthed 100 kids because he had multiple wives. He was poly.
Yes.
And he had multiple wives. They said he had over 20 wives, and he had 100 kids in total with all of them. So it's very plausible that he had 100 kids, right? And she was his favorite, and he disowned her and sent her to them to go live in Jamestown.
Dang.
So that's how they didn't have to like go and take her. Now this is what the movie said.
Mm-hmm.
They handed her over.
From somebody else's perspective of what happened.
Right. And so she became a hero in the white people's eyes because her father was the king of the tribe.
Okay.
Like in tribal times, they had kings and queens and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But and this was just in translation. In our translation, he was the chief. He was the chief of Virginia of the of Nansemond, Virginia, which is what that part of, and like Powhatan and the Nansemond Indians and all of them. It's like little cities over there on the coast of Virginia. And so he was like the chief, and all of his children were like princesses and princes. So Jamestown had Pocahontas, the princess, as a captive in their town, but they painted the picture in the movie that they used the terms captive.
Yeah.
But she was freely flowing inside of the Jamestown. She was willingly transformed into, with the European clothes and the corsets, with the puffy shoulders and the long dresses. Now she was gardening in dresses. She was no longer gardening in skins.
Crazy.
Now she gotta like
grounding.
put all of it right.
No more grounding. You have to wear heels. Yeah, was crazy.
Yeah, she had heels on, and she willingly did this. She was willingly.
She was so. It seemed like she was intrigued.
She was curious.
Yeah. Wanting to learn something different.
Right.
And new. Like a lot of women do that, so I can understand that.
Yeah. And then she was like really meek. She was really quiet though. She didn't really say anything. She was more, like she said, very curious and very like sniffing the books and looking at doors, like the way they made the doors, and just trying to understand the environment she was in. And every now and then she would like go back into like her Mother Nature zone where they would watch her like as she's like giving thanks to Mother Nature. She can't help it though. Like she didn't want to get rid of that part of her, and I think that's the part that was hurting her, because you could see it in her face. Like whenever she would come across a native, like they still had their skins and stuff, she would like kind of smile at them, but then like she would like put her head down. Like she missed that part of herself. Like she didn't want to give that part up just because she was intrigued. They were intrigued and they didn't give that part of themselves up. They actually learned the natives' ways and kept that part of themselves, and then told the natives that they can't be that, and made them to be a part of what they were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Culture crossing was interesting.
Yeah.
I know the curiosity, but then it's like, which part are you taking on and which part are you leaving?
Right. So then England like invited her over to like whatever, and that was her first time going to England. And in the movie they painted the perspective that she was like praised and royal, and like everybody loved her because of how much she taught them.
Yeah. Which
was like how to plant and get the crops and the tobacco and all of that, how to grow all that stuff like that. Right. And
crazy.
She died like a year after she got over there.
Really?
A peaceful death. That's what they said in the movie. She was 17. They never said her age, but like when you go Google her, they correct her age and they say like what part was fake and what part was real. Not from the movie, just from like folklore, like from what people gather. But she was like 14 when John Smith and them came over there.
Wow.
She ended up marrying another dude named Rolfie and having a baby with him. So she did have a son, just one. And she died when he was like 3.
Dang.
In England. And I don't know, like,
wow,
they just really left.
How she died?
Right. They don't say. It was an illness. She came up with an illness.
Oh, that makes sense too.
Yeah, because her body probably was like, what the fuck? Environment, atmosphere is this,
Dang, that's crazy.
And she died really young, really, really young. And they say she had one son. So I thought that was interesting. And I feel like the reason why they made the woman's perspective so quiet is because they don't know it. They can't speak on it. They can only like we are like be curious. They can only show that part of it because they don't like if you think about it, we don't know Pocahontas' perspective. We only know the male perspective.
Yep. Yeah. That's so crazy. To think that the woman shouldn't have a voice like that, or I don't know, is this coming from their perspective, like the woman should be suppressed a little bit, or
Right. But I don't think that they realize that's the perspective they're painting for a woman.
But how do they even get to that perspective? Because then they have like women queens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do you think? Why would you even think a woman should not speak or should be quiet and tone it down and stuff? Like, I don't get it.
Because then I think that they would feel like we would have more power than we're allowed to have. Because it's just the message. It's just the message.
True.
That person, I don't know who that person is. They just put their perspective on camera. You know what I mean? So it's like, and just like they did for Disney, anything that's told that's not coming out of their mouth is just a perspective. So it's like, you can't do anything to me but send a message by visual, by having characters, by painting a picture.
Yeah.
So it's a message and the story, and that's why I feel like genealogy is so freaking important, because it's all about your ancestry, your heritage, like what story was told, what is the storyline. Because I don't know my ancestors, like personally. I can't go reach out and touch them. I can't go visit them, in spirit I can.
Yeah.
But not like here. It's a story. It's a message that was sent, even if it's just my blood that I'm connected to them with. It's the coding. It's the message in your blood too.
That makes sense.
Right.
Message in the blood.
That's what DNA is.
That makes so much sense. I love it.
Yeah.
So basically, like she was just painted to be meek and soft and even in her pain, she was like quiet and yeah. So I guess that's what they felt, but I don't know. I feel like she would be strong. She's coming from a whole different culture,
right? That
does things totally different. So maybe she was suppressed, but I don't think that she would do that in her tribe, like cry in silence and stuff like that.
Right.
I think she would be out like open like everybody else was.
Right. Because they made her seem like so playful though, and innocent and childlike. Like she would always be pretending to be animals, laughing in the fields, running around, and like, playing, having her games where she would pretend to be a moose or pretend to be a cow, or she would just act as nature, pretend to be a tree or wind or whatever, and she would just love that. That was like her favorite part. I knew that because that's the only time you see her smile is when she's skipping and running like a deer and like being her innocent childlike self. But I feel like they were more so just trying to say what they felt a woman should be, but I don't think they feel like that. They know that that's what they were painting. I feel like they just don't know. They don't know her perspective.
Yeah, I can see that. So would they be like,
especially because she died so young? It's like,
how could you even understand it?
They didn't take the time to understand the kids' perspective, but you seen how the kids was when John Smith went back to Jamestown. They was like, John, the captain ain't been feeding us. We ain't got whatever. Everybody was talking. All the kids was like, la, 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 la. They couldn't help but spill it out.
Right. But then the language barrier too.
That part.
For her to be able to communicate certain things.
And a lot of kids, when they traumatize, they don't fight.
Yeah.
They stop fighting.
That's true.
They don't even know how to respond. They just go with it. They just there.
Yeah. It was interesting. A part to me was like when you was coming from the Indian tribe, like how they're in nature and how their like environment was, and then when you go to the European, it was like how they built their forts and stuff, and it looked like concrete already.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Before like you come here and all this concrete and stuff is put down, it's like they didn't have that. I don't know how they even.
You know what? And I noticed that too. But you know what? I think that the Europeans learned from the Greek way.
Okay.
And I feel like the Greek way came from the Kemetic way, which is Egypt, which is like where ancestry begins, like, which is here, because everything was connected at one point, and it's like America is definitely Africa, but we're not gonna go there.
That makes sense.
But it's like
They say
it just
everything
broke
come together.
off, you know what I mean? And now it's in other places, but I feel like because the cities and stuff that was built in Egypt, like we already know, we can think about it and think about what they fed us consciously and subconsciously, but we really don't know. The pyramids, everything, like all that was built from cob, basically, and concrete is kind of like how they transformed it to what they feel is a cheaper way of like avoiding people going around here building cob houses, because it's like
you could just literally just do it.
Yeah. You know,
doing a business out of here or something.
Right.
Like, what is the mindset? I just don't.
It's kind of like when you step on crack, coke, and you make, you know, it's kind of like it's the same thing, but it's the cheaper. It's the, you know what I mean? But it's more. There is a more natural derivative of the poppy seed.
And kind of can lose that, maybe that understanding when you start like getting into this, or you're thinking like this is the new way, the better way.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, that's the old. I'm not gonna.
Right.
You just lose that connection to understanding that, because when you showed me what you showed me, I was like, what?
Yes.
Yes, I love that.
Right.
Love it. So
yeah, I agree.
But yeah, when you think about Egypt, and I'm thinking like, yeah, that's probably, I could see how Egypt could emerge into something similar, like
right,
very technical, like with technology and
gold and cities of, you know what I mean, and then they kind of just like merged what they were already doing with that, so they kind of drowned that out, but still had that as their. But it's just the way that they made you not really think about the foundation of how they stole the things around them to build. They connect, like they kind of like took little pieces
from different places.
Yeah, and just like built their city and then gave us a message.
Because I know they studied a lot from Egypt.
And it took a lot
of philosophers that studied under Egypt people, Egyptian people.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of European philosophers.
Right. And now even how Egypt feels about us, like especially, like after seeing what's her name, Jada Pinkett's documentary on Netflix. You haven't seen it? Of Cleopatra?
Mm-mm.
She did 2 documentaries on Netflix, and I don't know what's taking her so long to drop another one, because they're good as fuck, and it's from a woman's perspective of Cleopatra. And then she did another one for African queen. I can't remember her name, but the Egyptians are pissed about that shit. I think that might be why she's taking so long.
Really?
Because it wasn't an Egyptian woman. Because you know the Egyptian women now, no disrespect, are they look Greek. Like that is what
they're like mixed.
That's the new age of what Egyptian is. It's like the Hercules and not even. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm probably a little bit off, but but it is. It's the.
Do you think they like came together and like
they did like they started, they kind of, because Egypt is a part of Africa. It's a part of Africa, guys, and a lot of people don't really realize that it's the original Egyptians were red and brown, and they're the ancient Kemetic people, but they were drowned out by the Romans that came over, and then Cleopatra is like the catalyst for that, because she went over and had a baby with Mark Antony, and he was like the king over there or the whatever, and she had a few kids with a couple, but same thing Pocahontas did.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what it seemed like.
Right.
Like they collab and like interested in something else.
Right. Seriously.
Then it kind of like comes together and mixes, and the cultures mix, and so it kind of like you can look at it as drowning out or evolving in a certain way.
Right. The building up of another nation.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Isn't it?
2 things come together, and it's like, or more than one.
Right.
More than 2 things come together.
Right.
2 or more. And so interesting. So then they kind of like lose that history or that thing that they had at first, because they're embracing something new.
Yeah.
And then it's like, if it don't really work out after a while, because you don't really know when it's new. You have to wait a little bit. And
right.
Like, dang, I need to get back to the roots, to where we remember from starting.
Right.
Wow. And that's what a lot of people are doing here in America, because that makes me think with similar things with America.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if everybody came in like everybody didn't come from the ships. I don't think.
No, they didn't.
You know, people was already
They
here.
definitely manipulated those numbers.
Exactly.
They did. They took.
And
but
every
the
black
Africans
person was not in
sold
slavery
themselves.
either.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
They sold themselves to come over here.
Mm-hmm.
Their king or queen, whoever was in charge, they made deals with the Europeans when the Europeans came over there.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a sweep. Of course, they was in Egypt first. They did a sweep because they had the connections. Their sons were a part of Egypt because Cleopatra was a part of Egypt. But it was already, Cleopatra's father was dealing with wars from them already. So when Cleopatra's father died, she was a queen, you know, and she had brothers too. And they had to handle what their father left behind, which is epigenetics. They had to, now they were in charge of what their father could no longer, you know, speak for because he passed away. So when that came, Cleopatra didn't like how her brothers was handling shit. This is what the perspective that Jada Pinkett gave. And she married one, and which is how they did it. That's how they kept the blood in the family, royal blood, where they married each other. And that's the only way that you could be royalty back then, is if you had the blood, the pure blood of, you know, whatever. But and she killed one so that she had to, because he wanted to fight them, and she didn't want to fight. She was trying to get peace, and so she ended up having to kill him. And I can't remember if she killed her brother husband too. I don't remember, but I know she left, took her kids. She had to run, she had to flee where she was and go establish somewhere else. And it's like it's the same story for the African queen that she wrote about too.
Yeah
She had to make deals with because her father was the king and he died, and he ended up making her queen because the brother couldn't handle it. They were making the wrong decisions, and the father knew that the woman was going to want peace, so he left her in charge. But she didn't want it at first. She wanted to protect her brother, and her brother just was like egotistical and just causing wars, giving slaves away to the Europeans for money and shit like that. So he ended up dying. That some say that she killed him, some say that he died for unknown reasons, or one of the other sisters killed him. And then she ended up being queen, and the more she tried to stop them from taking more people, she was like, okay, y'all done took enough people, like, can we offer you something else? Like, we need other things that we could be trading with y'all. And they would not take no for an answer, and she held slavery off as much as she could, as long as she could, but she ended up dying. And they came over and converted her people to Christianity, and then that was a wrap. That's when they took over in that part of Africa, and then they just kept going, and then they just kept going, and just kept going.
Dang, that's so interesting.
Right.
And it seems like a lot of
Great Britain ass.
And a lot of tribes, even here, Indian indigenous tribes, I'm sure if we go talk to them, they have similar stories. And even right to this day, there's things that the system is doing to hold them back and down and not prosper.
Every single piece of land that there is, which we don't really know about it, because 75% of this motherfucker's underwater, and there's only 25% landmass that's visible for us to even get on, and some of that we can't even reach, like Antarctica and stuff like that. Certain places we can't even get to, even if it is a landmass that's exposed. So that means we probably only know how much a percent of the earth, like 17, maybe more or less. Right. So wherever there has been an integration in a message, meaning a message has been sent and received, and you make deals and you shake hands and you give birth to different things, people, places, there is always a small part of it where the original people are. Like, they push you out and into like a forest or into somewhere that's like unseen but seen, and they give birth and they change your language, they change your identity, they go for the old and the young, because that's how you take the message away and make it and birth the new message. They go for the old and the young to send the message, receive the message, to give whatever perspective they're trying to paint that's different from something that they don't know, something that they don't understand. So that's how things develop.
Interesting.
Isn't it? It's so crazy. So like,
we definitely want to send a message though, because we're sending a message. Like,
right.
We're doing something new and creating another way of doing things.
Exactly.
And understanding and lifestyle and stuff like that. So it's crazy. We just want So I wonder what I don't think so. What if hundreds of years then somebody's like, oh well, the nation that we're building, like we need to get back to the American way or something.
Yeah, they will.
That's interesting to think.
Why wouldn't they?
But I want to have balance though. We're gonna have balance with certain, like, everything that we know.
Right.
So it's not like a totally different, just letting go of things that we feel don't work.
Right.
That don't really serve the future.
Right. And I wonder how many times we've already come to this point.
You know what?
Throughout time.
That's true.
Because, like, if you think about it, like, Black Lives Matter ain't the first time niggas been screaming Black Lives Matter.
That's
like, in the 70s, we was, you know, and before that, you know, we was fucking dancing around fire. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's happened so many times. Like,
yeah.
People been crucified since before Jesus was born. He wasn't even crucified by himself. You seen the movies. You've seen the stories that's been painted. It's so many different stories that's painted in different religions, in different places, and there are similarities. You just got to look at the people around inside the same story. Look at the people that's surrounding the person they're trying to make the main character.
Yeah, it's so interesting, because even if you go sit with a different tribe and listen, like you can try to, you know, you learn a lot, but then it's like it's still coming from your especially if you don't know the language,
right?
Like, because the language is important. That's how you define certain things. So what she's doing and acting, like, that's something she defines it different within her than somebody looking at it.
That's so true.
Like, why did you act like, because they literally want to cage animals and stuff.
Right.
And study them and like, dissect them and stuff. So
like when she went over to England, when Pocahontas went over to England, they did have, like, to like show her that they were grateful for her. They had animals in there, but guess what? They were all caged.
I'm so done.
Even the parrots and the birds, they had them chained to their wrist. And she bowed to them. She bowed to the animal. She was like, "What the fuck? Why they got?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Why do they got y'all in these cages? You know what I mean? Like, and it's
that's
crazy."
Probably her. I mean, you know, it had a part in her dying too. Just like seeing all that, and then knowing she can't, like, she's not going back to where she. It's probably like a lot of heartaches.
But now I know. Now I see why they made us play telephone, because by the time it gets to another person, it's a totally different story, and that's why. That's why talking is like the lowest form of vibration of language. Like speaking is like the lowest form of the lowest vibration of language.
That makes sense.
Because talking too much can, like, just most of, like, the gods used to just like dance and use their bodies and, like, you know,
I love that.
Have reverence for themselves. It takes a lot of energy to speak. Just think about how much energy we would conserve if we didn't talk.
That's true. We'd probably live longer.
Right. So that's why the monks over there like, go ahead.
Like, I'm good. Whatever y'all talking about.
Right.
That is so true. And I come across a lot of words in the English language. I'm like, that don't describe what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling.
Right.
It's like I have to re-describe it or learn or create our own language or, like, I like the silent language and like learn how to read minds and
me too.
Read the energy, and I'm
takes
learning
practice,
that.
right?
Yeah, it does take practice, especially coming from where we come from. Since the epigenetics of what we've been dealing with since being born, and before being born, our ancestors. So it's like, takes a little bit, but I do notice that. I'm like, that's not what I'm thinking. But there's no word in the language to describe it, so it's you have to make up your own.
Exactly.
Because I think in the transition, people do need to hear, like, different types of words and language, like understanding or descriptions to transition into understanding energy and stuff like that.
I feel that way too. Yeah, that's important. It's super important, but it takes practice. Yeah.
And I like how they were, I mean, she was like saying, like, doing the hand gestures of that, and then he kind of understood fast like him.
Right.
But, you know, I know that's in the movies, but still, like.
But that is how they communicate. They communicated.
Yes. To go to a tribe and just try to understand as much as
we can.
We
go to a powwow.
Oh, okay.
They have them. I know what my tribe is. My tribe is Halawasapuni in North Carolina. They have powwows all the time. I'm in the group on Facebook. Yeah. So we can go to one of their powwows if you want, or we can look up. I'm almost done with your genealogy. I just feel like I'm, like, so close, but I feel like the the part where we gotta just find some more paperwork that I'm gonna have to go to the building and just look at some paperwork and find something, because I don't think they got it online. I think we might be the first ones that's like wanting to go further, a little bit further than where people have stopped at, which is
true.
Wade in the wall.
You're saying like that part that's here?
I don't know if it's here or if it's in Kentucky or Tennessee.
Or like United States?
Yeah.
Okay. What would it be? Like it would be the Indian tribe that was here before that? Okay.
Yep. Because I keep finding, like when I type in that certain person that we're at on your tree, I keep finding, I do find tribal information that's connected to that name, but I need proof that that's her.
Yeah.
Like I need proof that she's connected to the,
Yeah.
So it's just like, so I gotta go find the original document, because then there would be some type of transaction or some type of switch over of a name, or from this to this, because they had to document all of that. So it's just like,
love it.
Right.
I think it's interesting. I think that's a European thing too, to document. And even the deaths and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, they document deaths all the way up to like the BC.
Yeah, they did. But even the Kemetic people were like that. That's what hieroglyphics is all about. Like, not death, but it is. It's about death and life. It's the life of, and then the transition through death to another life. It's like, that's what hieroglyphics is all about. And hieroglyphics come from the original peoples of Egypt.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But that's like, and I know that's not the original peoples of this land, because it goes further than that. But I only say that because that's as far back as information-wise they will give us. Like when it comes to genealogy and bloodlines, they go back, Cleopatra and further. But it's of that bloodline. They don't give us no more information. They have it, but they take it out the book, so you have to go look for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
And it's like in the Vatican and like locked up, burnt.
That is so crazy.
Burnt up.
It's like, who thinks of stuff like that? Are they thinking of trying to suppress people when they do it, or they just thinking something different? I'm just like, I don't understand. You're like, look, this part we don't want to let them know.
I feel like they were conditioned too.
Yeah.
It was all about conditioning, because it was they just lived in a different part of the world than we were. And we were voyagers and shit like that, but it was different soil. It was different things growing. It was different ways of living, like in the mountains, in the freezing cold. Like, they knew about the bears. They knew about trees. They knew about their shit, though.
Yeah.
And then when they come over here, it's like, oh my God, like it's completely different. Yeah, it's trees, it's color.
Ooh, that epigenetics is totally different.
Yeah.
And the code and stuff. Yeah.
So
did they come over here with the sun? And I know the sun has to still feel good.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, let's take over this, because this is where we need to be at.
Right. Or I don't know. I think it just comes to like the way that you are interested. Like when I watched like the Vikings and stuff like that, they were fighting each other. That was when they were fighting each other. You know what I mean? So because they wanted to take over each other's shit. It was a woman involved, and their women were silenced too, and their women were made to do things they didn't want to do. But even that, the women had to act like it. Like they had to survive just like our women did.
Yeah.
But the men were fighting each other, taking over each other's shit. Christian, Valhalla, and 15 gods, one god. Like they were arguing about religion and vagina.
Philosophy and
all that. It was like, and so even before that, like we was over here fighting too. We was fighting each other.
That's true. It was just the atmosphere, the aura. Like getting some things understood. But it's interesting, like certain philosophers that study with the Greek or whoever, it was like some of them would say like all is one, and some of them say like no, it's physical, and everything physical, but everybody
even the
like
philosophers were arguing, right?
Exactly. But it's like whoever is the most agrees. If the people agree with this, then that's who they're gonna lift up.
Right.
But really, everything is one.
Right.
And that's what I believe, and I really feel that, and I know that.
Right.
But
it's evident.
Yeah. But people didn't understand that at that time, so the sheep basically was like, or whoever's the majority would like that's the perspective they go with.
Why? Because the story is the message.
Which one?
It's the message, like you said, whoever the majority goes with, because whoever believes this, because think about it, somebody had to give them that information. It came from somewhere to where it influenced a mass of people.
Yeah.
And so it's like whoever mass has the biggest influence of that message, that perspective, then that's what is going to be told. That's what's going to take over.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That shit is crazy. And that's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you have sex with somebody.
That's so interesting.
That's the plot. That's how you can manipulate population. It's about the message. Like when that sperm kicks off and it gets to that egg, message sent and received. Concept, conception, conceptualize, all that. When you conceive, you give birth to a message. That's not the original message. It comes from two different messages that became one. Combined. Two different senders became one. So they got two different messages.
Yeah. It's like a war all in yourself.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to like see how you can come together. That's so interesting.
I know.
I love it.
As the sun rose on our face.
Yes.
It's up now, look.
Sun is here. Sending us some messages too.
Well, she putting her shoes on. We about to jet ski.
But yes, the Pocahontas and all the other movies is like, it's interesting. I mean, it's still stuff we can learn from it, look at it, and talk about it, and see what we can take from it, I guess. And go from there. But it is always, most of the time, being told by the people that capture over or conquer over something, and it's their perspective.
Yeah.
Or somebody that may is so interested and they go study it, and then they come back and tell their people or whatever.
Right.
What
like
they
what
think
we're
they
doing.
Yeah. Same thing. So we're just telling you what we see.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's just important to go within, and when you go within, you can see and really feel what resonates.
Yeah. So. I agree.
It's like, but I'm excited to continue and build what we're building.
Because in my mind, while I do our ancestry, right, it's like, in my mind, I be painting all types of stories when I be looking at our ancestry. Yo, and then I hear the stories from, like, I hear your stories about your part, like what you know, what's been told to you, and then I know what's been told to me on my ancestry. And it's like, how would one turn this into a movie? Like, what do they do when I'm watching these movies? It's like, how did they get to this point where now they're making it a visual? Because I only know what I know about my own blood through ear.
Yeah.
Through ear. I don't know, did she run through the field? I can't see that. Like, nobody can say,
that's
true. Here's a image of your grandmother running through the field. You know what I mean? They got that shit now, niggas. Like, if I have a land, we're gonna have cameras.
Cameras everywhere.
And my
kids
don't
know what's happening over here.
Right. Look, my kids will be able to see me running through the field in 1993. Okay.
I love that. And
but we don't get to experience
right now.
Right. That is it.
And a lot of people suppress their stories.
Yeah. They do.
And even
on
in
purpose.
America, they're like, look, we can't talk about that.
Right.
There's a lot of things that they didn't talk about, so it wasn't passed on.
Exactly. All we know is what we word them out.
Yep.
And the same thing for everybody else's genealogy, which is what history is in school. It's somebody else's ancestry.
Yeah. And my granny, she said she came down here when she was younger, like a child, and she said from Virgin Islands. Like, she has these stories, but she's like, well, that's what my mom told me. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know a lot of stuff.
Right.
She's like, that's what I think her name is. Like, I don't know, because people was coming here and don't want to talk about that.
Nope.
Like, we have to be quiet just in case. It's protection.
Just in case.
Yeah, it's protection too. And now it's like we have to figure it out. But it is in us, so we can feel that as much as possible, but we don't see it, so we don't really know everything.
Yep.
In the physical, but we can feel the energy at least and be like, well, she probably was running through that forest.
Right. She probably was. I was just running through the forest last week.
And
it's
like
very easy to assume that. Right. We'll just go with that.
Yeah. I think that's what they do. But then some people, I don't like, if they're telling somebody else's story, just don't be making up stuff to make it look a certain way so you can sell it or whatever.
Right.
Like, really do real research. Maybe talk to the people of that ancestry and like do what you got to do. If it's a different language, you need to learn the language then.
Right.
Because that's just messing up history and messing with people's minds.
It's so true.
Yes. And
like,
I don't even like all the slavery movies, because it's like like they're making people think that, and it's like that's a percentage of
a very small percentage. It's 8 billion people now on this planet, but
But putting it
Slavery
in our
didn't start with
schools,
America, guys. It started
Okay.
with the Espanols.
been the thing all around
It
the
started
world.
with Spain, okay? And it started before that too. Like the light and dark, the difference in the skin
Mosquitoes is
color.
getting us.
They are. I'm like, is that one? It is.
They love us.
So
They
it's
want
just
some of this
like-
blood. But
I don't like how they depict everybody on the slavery movies to be from Africa.
yeah.
You
Me
gotta
neither.
go. You gotta go find a movie about a tribe becoming slaves, and they don't even show that part. Like they didn't show no Indians getting whipped in this motherfucking Pocahontas movie.
Okay.
And it's in the 1600s, y'all. The slavery y'all know about 400 years ago, that ain't the 1600s count. It's 2024.
Yeah.
It's like the
That's
1800s.
true. It's not that long. It wasn't that
It
long
was like
ago.
the 1800s, the slavery y'all know about. And when Jesus got crucified, that was before the 1800s. So why in the 1600s wouldn't they have on video an Indian wearing tribal clothes getting whipped? We've never seen it. It's never been depicted ever.
Crazy.
They'll change them and put on new clothes before they whip them in their gear.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never see nobody at a like.
That's true. Like they don't want to play with Indians like that. Probably. I don't know. It's like why wouldn't they do that?
But I've never seen it. Have you?
They probably don't want to show that.
No, because they still here. They just got to moved around, like Arizona, Oklahoma. You know, they got their reservations.
And they probably know their history.
Right.
I just don't be believing a lot of it.
Because they owe us. They know that. And that's
And
that's
like,
conviction at its
that.
finest. Like certain parts of the story is just like, I don't think they went that far. But why so many Africans, they show that?
Trying to paint a history or some picture. I don't know. I just know they was making a lot of slavery movies, and it seemed like people are just, oh, that might be a money thing. Let me just.
Why is that the focus on the message though?
Right.
It's like, what is that about?
Like, what about all the kings and queens and the people that's making movies and still to this day have their own tribes in American land
right now. I
don't even know if it wouldn't be called American land then, wouldn't it? It would be, it's their land, but it's on the soil.
I went to the Hopi reservation in Arizona, and I heard from them, the people that's there now, they're still like in cob houses and living in their village.
We gotta go there. Yeah.
Right. And they were saying like, they just humbly, just the people that converted, the Indians that converted, the natives, I won't say Indians because that's the term they gave us, but the natives that converted, they are not Christian now, so they're kind of like the cowboys / natives of like Texas, Arizona. They look like Mexicans, which is kind of like the originals, which is like the Espanols and the Chinese and the Asian, but y'all don't, it's like Hawaii and Alaskans and all, like that's what the natives look like, but they were also darker native tone people too. I'm sorry. But in the Hopi village, they were just saying that the people that converted, they don't talk to them, like they over there and they can't do nothing about it because they're the reason why they have a reservation. They fought for it. Well, yeah, we'll give it to you, but you gotta make sure that my tribe can be over here and still living off the land and doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
As long as we have a certain area, that's the negotiation, and so that's what they're dealing with now. But I feel like you seen that movie. And you probably haven't because you said you don't do movies. Wakanda, the second one.
No, I don't think so.
It's kind of like that. Like they show like the Wakandians, like which is kind of like the Africans fighting with the Europeans, which is America. And then there's these water people that come out from out of nowhere. And I feel like the water people is like the natives of all the countries. Like the natives that, like, and then the natives and the Africans are talking like the Africans stole titanium. Well, the natives and the Africans have something in common, and that's titanium, where the white people don't have access to it, but the white people trying to get it from the Africans because they think the Africans is the ones with the source. But the secret is it's the natives that have it. Even the Africans aren't aware. So when the natives come from up underwater, like, yo, y'all got titanium too, blah, 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 but y'all motherfuckers up here making deals with the white people. Like, we don't like y'all either then. Like, fuck y'all, And they're communicating with them. They're expressing their anger towards them over the years and why they haven't communicated with them. And then the Africans is like, well, the white people are our friends. And da 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 da, and the natives that come out of the water, they like, all right, we thought the same thing, but the motherfuckers gonna think y'all gonna need us. Watch, y'all gonna need us, and da 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 da, and then they end up fighting because the Africans is like, nah, fuck y'all, we with the white people, we gonna try to fight y'all. But then in the end, they show the natives as like the all-time like enemy, like that's the one like everybody hates. It's like the villain in the movie.
That's crazy.
And I was like, that's crazy. That's literally.
Wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I definitely would love to see like some native tribes, because I know they're all around.
And then when you look up the movie, right, they use actual real life chiefs and shit that existed.
Really?
Yeah.
And they should be paying the natives for using that type of stuff. That's like, yeah, they could sue, but they're not in the system to sue, right? So they really couldn't. And this is
the natives don't even know, like they're not aware, like they're not really connected.
Yeah, they don't care.
There is a lot of that are connected to like, you know, Instagram and stuff like that, but there's nothing they can do. They not worried about that part. You know what I mean? It's more like they just want to be remembered.
Yeah.
The right way.
Got bigger things to deal with, because from what I was reading, they have so many different deals that they were doing with America. Some of them are good with the deals, and some of them are not, and they're still suffering to this day with America doing certain things like poisoning the water
and taking their land and shit. They're building on their land. They trying to buy them out, but then they just like, look, y'all already got enough fucking land. Y'all trying to come over here and make oil shit and gas, and you know what I'm saying? And it's just like they're not okay. Like they need help. You know, we need help.
Yeah.
But
they're trying to preserve their culture probably, and that's probably the way that they're gonna. You know how they say first to be last, last to be first.
Yeah.
And I feel like the switch will come like that, and as long as they've been preserving that culture, the people in America definitely would want to like learn that soon. Like that's gonna be something that's real high in the currency, like real valuable, is understanding native culture.
For real, because it's like, what in the almighty hell would make you and the rest of your generation want to come over here after they took your people and brought them over here and made them slaves? It's a prize to come over here in Africa.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of African families like, yeah, you go to America, you become doctor, lawyer, you know, get your business, you know, get your degree, go in the Olympics, do something good, which a lot of them are really good at what they do. Like, but it's like, why the fuck do you keep coming over here? Did you forget? Like, it's like, and if you're gonna come over here, cool. But how about let's have a conversation with the natives of the land? Why I don't understand why I don't see no panels with the natives and the African American people over here talking.
Yeah. And it's probably just the same thing. Like, where the Europeans may have something to offer, and they're like, okay, we'll trade, we'll do this, or we'll work for that. And
it's the part of the story that's not told.
It's like a deal. Like, okay,
right.
It's just the white people got this to offer you, or whatever. But
we all focus on the white people. That's probably like, I don't know, like I said, why don't we focus on the characters around the person that's trying to be the main character? Because a lot of the time, the truth is not even centered around the main character.
Yep.
Or the person that's trying real hard to be the main character. Like, they gotta be the main character. That's probably not the where the truth is supposed to come from.
Right.
Or who should be telling the story. But that's the person that's the most entertaining. So that's who everybody listens to.
Makes sense. And it's like that you know how we like look at masculine energy as leadership in this culture, and it's like, you have to, if you look deeper and look at real leadership, like the nurturing, the sustainability, knowing how to like guide people without hurting them, suppressing them, then you probably wouldn't look at certain people as like the leader or the main character. You look at the
right. No, that's true.
We got to change that perspective on leadership and what's powerful and who to listen to and who to, because somebody can offer you whatever you think you want, and they really can have bad intentions, or your next generations will be done for instead of
Right.
just from what you're getting right now.
Right.
It's like keep those morals of sustainability and lasting. But I get like some people do come over here and they make a lot of money. They send it back to their families, and their families can grow more where they're at.
Like, if I'm coming over here, I'm coming to get my people. The fuck? Nigga, wait, hold on. Wait, y'all don't want to leave? Which we? You don't want to leave? The fuck? We need to talk. How? What?
Yeah. So, yes, the Pocahontas movie. It was okay, but let's try to focus more on getting to the actual truth.
Right.
The stories that they tell. But this is also just learning from another person's perspective.
Exactly.
What they see. And we always got to go within and feel that truth. And know that the physical is not everything. So that's interesting too, because how we watch movies or even slavery movies and relate to it and be like, oh, that's my people. Like, you don't know that.
You don't know that.
You don't really know that. So.
But I always wonder which one of them was my uncle or my cousin. Like, it's just how they swept our stories away with their perspectives is what kills me. Like, because now we really got to do a lot of work in order to get that perspective, like in order to get some sense of connection to where, like, okay, y'all wrote a movie about Django, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, who the fuck is Django, and who is his people, and why don't, like, it's like they made him the main character, but he has like a whole lineage.
True.
We don't know his lineage, but we know your people lineage.
Right.
We know who your great granddaddy is, your great great granddaddy is, what job he worked, where he worked, who he was married to, who his kids was.
Mm-hmm. That's facts. I did not know it's been an hour.
Has it? Damn.
An hour video.
Yay.
Hope you guys enjoy it.
All right. We'll talk about this on the live though, so y'all could
yes, chime in.
Because y'all got to be a part of the rewriting our heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Rewriting our heritage. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful. I came to watch the sunrise, and it rose.
It feels so good, and I was really peeping over the tree line.
Yes, it is. You can see. Oh, it looks beautiful on camera too. There it is. All right. Well, hope everyone has an amazing day.
Yeah.
Peace. Peace. Crowns up. And make sure you just honor yourself.
Please.
Period.
Honor thyself.
Honor thyself. And give yourself the best. And go within and see the truth, because it's within you. Definitely is within you.